I got an email from Narramore Farms in Kingston, Tennessee a few weeks ago asking if my three-piece bluegrass band could come out and perform for an event that they're holding on May 2nd. Unfortunately, our regular banjo player Zach can't make the gig, but that's okay because when that happens in the bluegrass world, it's generally as easy as calling a musician in to substitute. And when this happens, another email follows. And in that email is the set list from the musician who's substituting. That way we can get familiar with his songs since he's going to play a few and we need to fill this space and time up. When I get this email, I usually get a little bit anxious because I know there's going to be a list of songs on there that I definitely should know that I'm going to have to go and practice, and I'm just finger crossed that it's not the impossible songs that I have to learn. So in this lesson, I'm going to take you through how I'm going to survive getting through this break to a tune called I Wonder Where You Are Tonight. This is a really old tune. I think Flatt and Scruggs did it a long time ago. The two versions that I'm most familiar with are number one from my girlfriend Dolly Parton. She does a slower version, and then Tony Rice's version off of one of my favorite albums, Tony Rice Sings and Plays Bluegrass. It's more up-tempo, and the breaks on that song follow the verse, which, lucky for us, just follows that classic G-C-D chord pattern with the capo on the 4th fret. So we're going to focus on that today. If you're inside of my paid course, you've heard me say 1,000 times, I really like using a capo when you're just starting to learn flat picking because it reduces the amount of space your fingers have to cover in order to pull off some of these harder licks, get used to these intervals we play. That makes it a lot easier. That being said, the first goal that I have here is to learn a skeleton melody here in the G position. A skeleton melody is just basically the bare bones melody of the song. This alone is all I need to take a bluegrass guitar break. And here's the melody we're going to be playing. Tonight I'm sad, my heart is weary, wondering if I'm wrong or right. I think about you though you left me. I wonder where you are tonight. Before I play the melody, here's some tips. Because I'm playing in a three-piece, I am not going to be going up the neck. I'm not even going to think about it. My goal is to capture that melody, keep my rhythm going, and make sure that the audience knows what melody I'm playing. So my home bases will be on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fret. I'm not going to move from these right here except for one note that I'm playing on my A string going from the 3rd to the 4th fret right here in just a second. Working on that melody, starting on the 3rd fret B string. To that C chord. Here's where I escape those 3 frets. Second go round skeleton melody, basically exactly the same. I'm just going to change the end a bit. Alright, real basic there, and I'll just be honest with you, that's how I start all of these breaks or whatever I try to play live, and I sit here in this room, sound it out bit by bit until I have that skeleton melody. A lot of times it's not perfect, alright? Now, what we're going to do is level it up by trying to keep our right hand moving on those same notes, all right? The ultimate goal for any bluegrass player is to keep this right hand moving at all times, playing perfect 16th notes. Will it happen your first time? No. 10th time? No. 10,000th time? Probably not. But we got to start somewhere. So here with these note repetitions, even if they're imperfect, that's a good way of getting it going, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting ahead of myself just a little bit there because I'm throwing in some pickup notes. Those are notes that happen before we actually kick into that melody. All right, and let's see how that sounds because these are the bits and bobs that really fill up that space that give us that bluegrass sound. Let me just rewind here, all right? So we know that bluegrass classic G run. All right, now if we just want to take that lick in and itself with our motion that I just talked about, that down up picking pattern, And the pickup notes, that feels so much space. Already we've got a coherent bluegrass break. Let me show you how that sounds. 1 and a 2 and a 3. All right, made mistakes there. Hey, mistakes are your best friend. In fact, go make all the mistakes. If you're making mistakes, that means you're trying things that are just a little out of your reach or way out of your reach, and that's important to learn how to play. So I'll leave these all in here. But that's how I approach it, exactly how I approach it, right? The licks will come later. I'll give you an example here in just a second of ways we can make it sound more bluegrass, if you will, with some of those blue notes. But what's non-negotiable in bluegrass music, and this is coming from a guy who has messed up so many breaks live because I didn't know the melody, or because I tried to play the melody and I had it before and then I didn't have it at the break. The melody is what bluegrass music is, all right? I've been to so many jams where I go to play the melody and I know it's not, and that's really embarrassing, and you learn from the mistakes like that. So focus on the melody, learn licks, actually learn all kinds of licks, but just know that the melody comes first, all right? As far as the three main blue notes here in the G position, our flat third, our flat and fifth, and our flat and seventh, all of them are right here, all right? All of bluegrass happens right here. I'll play a lick here at the end using our flat and third fret, and then our right above it on the D string, our flat and seventh, third fret of the D string there, all right? So that just might sound like 1, 2, 3. All right, again, I'm practicing this today for like the first time. Okay, folks, let me know in the comment section, was this a practical approach to a lesson? Did you like this style? I think this is important to put out there because this is really what happens in the bluegrass world. And spoiler alert, there's like 5 or 6 other songs on that list I'm gonna have to go and learn in the next 3 weeks or so. You're invited to the show, by the way. It is a public show, Kingston, Tennessee, on May the 2nd. We start at 11:30 a.m. The event goes all day. If you have been playing guitar for years, but you're struggling to sound like a bluegrass player, and especially if this lesson here was a little bit over your head, check out my beginner-friendly bluegrass course, Flatpick Foundations. Folks are going from strumming simple chords to really playing bluegrass lead. My education style really takes a practical approach, what you need to sound bluegrass. Not gonna be learning Tony Rice solos overnight. That takes years for me. I've been playing 20 years and I still can't nail those. And that's okay, because the fun of this music comes from being able to play it, not being able to emulate what the best player, Mr. Tony, was able to do on all his recordings. And I think that really skews folks' perception of how easy this is to learn if you just break it down into chunks, which is what I do in Flatpick Foundations. Folks, I appreciate everybody here that watches the channel, everybody that comments. I really enjoy this community here, and I'll be back for more. So let me know what you thought about this lesson, and grab a t-shirt down below too, right? I got a little fat there for a while. My large didn't fit, and so now the large fits, and you should get one too. Help support the channel, and also I give a small donation to an organization called Restring Appalachia. They do great things connecting folks that lost their instruments in natural disasters. They go and give them new instruments, and so all in the sort of idea that we're keeping the music going and all that. And so till next time, folks, bye bye.